Have you ever wondered, how did the Romans build stuff? Let's take a look at 3 common building techniques that built the ancient world. From lifting heavy blocks into place, to building brick archways, to building beautiful fluted columns, I've got the answers for you, witnessed firsthand from some sites built by the Romans. Our first stop takes us to Bath, England. This incredible ancient Roman site is almost 2,000 years old and is well preserved. Take a look at some of the massive stones that the Romans lifted into place to build this incredible site. How did they pick them up? We'll take a look at that answer in a moment, but first, let's look at some of these incredible brick archways. The Romans didn't invent the brick, but they certainly used them everywhere. Take a look at the Colosseum in Rome. I mean, it's basically built from bricks. They were certainly pretty smart in how they made the bricks for these archways. Under the external brick facade is a chain of lightweight hollow bricks. To make these bricks, first the Romans laid out 2 boards that are the thickness of the side wall of the hollow brick. They sprinkled sand on the working surface and rolled out a hunk of clay, just like you would roll dough with a rolling pin. Next, a template the size of the unformed brick was laid on top of the clay, and the clay was cut to size by tracing the template with a cutter. Finger joints were added to each end of the unformed brick where they would be joined together. The clay was then wrapped around a form to make it a perfect uniform size, and the finger joints were joined together to close the open end. Texture was scratched into the sides of the bricks to give place for the mortar to grip. After baking in a kiln, the hollow brick was ready for use. These lightweight, strong hollow bricks could be set on top of a wooden arch form and were the perfect lightweight material for spanning large archways. But how did the Romans lift massive stones into place? We'll come back to that answer in a moment, but first, let's head to Pompeii to check out another common Roman architectural member, the fluted column. Pompeii is incredible. Mount Vesuvius, the volcano in the near-distant background, buried this place in 79 AD, perfectly preserving the town for us to study. They had running water, a bathhouse and amphitheater, and even a lupanare, or wolf's den. I'll let you figure out what that means. Notice the 2 types of fluted columns. One uses large, heavy fluted carved blocks stacked on top of each other. The second seems to be carved from a continuous solid stone, but they really aren't. It's an illusion. You can see there are several unfinished columns at Pompeii. I just loved being able to see the work in progress firsthand. Once again, the Romans used bricks as the building material. You can see from this picture how bricks were used to lay out a pattern that resulted in flutes on the exterior of the column. Once the bricks were stacked to the complete column height, stucco was applied to give the exterior a smooth finish, resulting in the illusion that it was carved from one solid piece of stone. Now, take a look at these columns next to Trajan's column at the Roman Forum. They're built the same way. You can see the brick core covered with a stucco facade. Ingenious! But what about the columns that were made from giant stones stacked on top of each other? How did they lift these heavy stones? There's no way to wrap a sling or chain around them. There's no way to use a forklift-like device to set them in place. How did they pick them up? For the answer, let's head back to Bath. Check out this massive stone that was the base of a heavy column. Notice the slot on top. Can you figure out how to pick up the stone with just a little slot? The answer is made even more ingenious by its simplicity. It's called the Lewis bolt. First, a dovetail-shaped slot had to be carved into the top of each stone. 2 pieces of the Lewis bolt were then inserted into the slot. They were wedge-shaped and could be pushed to either side, leaving the center open. The third piece of the Lewis bolt was rectangular shaped and pushed in between the two wedge shapes. A pin was slid through a shackle and all three pieces, locking them together inside of the block. Now, a wedge-shaped anchor was locked inside of the block and it was ready to lift into place. Awesome! Let me know in the comments below if you know of any other cool building techniques, whether they be from the Romans or Egyptians or some other civilization. Thanks guys, I'll see you next time.